So today we're doing r/pro revenge. Quick, just disclaimer here, if you're more sensitive to this kind of stuff, feel free to click off the video. It's fine. Now with that disclaimer out of this way, I can get into other news, such as, if you can't tell, I'm planning on uploading daily now. I'll see how that works once I get off break, but yeah, planning on uploading daily. So let's get into the context. JK, content, get pranked. Teacher damages my academic record, so I damage her classroom. In 8th grade, I had a really bad science teacher. The two subjects we covered in class were physics and chemistry, so we had gas ports for Bunsen burners all over the classroom. This teacher would heavily favor students on the Science Olympiad team and the students who brought her coffee and food on a regular basis. I tried to transfer out of her class at the beginning of the year, but she was the main science teacher for the grade, so I'd only end up getting her for another period. So I studied for all the tests and did all the extra credit possible, but she would still find some excuse to give me trash grades. Whenever I asked her a question, she would always respond very rudely and say something along the lines of, "I already told the class this," or "ask someone else." Most of the time, no one else in the class knew the answer to my question. This was happening to at least 95% of the class and all of my friends. When we were going over tests in the class, two people would have the exact same answer with the same amount of work and explanation, but the person who she liked would get credit and the other person wouldn't. When people would bring this up, she would scream at them for criticizing her grading and proceed to fail their citizenship grade. So this went on like this for an entire year, and on the last week of school, I had a C- in her class, and I was sick of her garbage. Since finals were over, she was making us do a project for which we had to make a car out of paper cups, straws, toothpicks, etc. She was completely zoned out, sitting at her desk watching Netflix on her iPad, so she didn't notice my friend and I taking a bunch of packs of hot glue sticks and 2 hot glue guns. My friend and I proceeded to caulk up all of the gas ports in the classroom to the point where all of the jets had a significant amount of pipes would have to be replaced. I was out of school in a few days, and I have not seen the teacher since. I decided to post this here because a few days ago, one of my friends who still goes to that school told me that one of the gas jets had burst into flame while the teacher was turning on a Bunsen burner for a lab. She got minor burns on one of her arms, and the fire department had to come. They found all the damage from the hot glue, and the entire classroom is being closed for a week while they try to fix the gas. The teacher has no idea who did it, but I hope that she has learned a lesson about treating students with respect and grading fairly. So the part of this story about teachers just being awful reminds me of an experience I had myself. There was a teacher, let's call her Mrs. Smellyhead. Mrs. Smellyhead, she was just a terrible, unqualified teacher. She hated people randomly. Mrs. Smellyhead, she would always be on her phone, and she was just this basic white, always had Starbucks, and she talked like this all the time. She's like, nah. One time, we were taking a test on social studies, and I knew that I had gotten an answer right, and she had marked it wrong, and I confronted her about it, and then she was like, well, I don't know. So I went to the book, showed her where it said that it was correct, and then she was like, well, go ask the other teacher for the grading key. This teacher was grading tests without a key. She was just going off of her free will of, yeah, I think that's right, yeah. Okay, most teachers, that's probably fine because they actually teach the lessons. She didn't teach a lesson. She just turned on an audiobook of the social studies book for an hour, called it a day, and played Angry Birds on her phone or whatever. One of the worst things ever was like whenever she turned on a video about how to make an Egyptian vase, and it's just this woman like just screaming into the microphone in the most high-pitched sound, and like the tornado sirens, it could be used as that. It's just alarming, and the entire time I'm just like, oh god. There was another incident where what was it? Oh yeah, she just, out of the blue, she just started talking about how the Egyptians would like claw the brains out of people's nostrils and puncturing the skull. And it was just oh God, well, how she was describing it. So I'm just going, trying to not hear it. She's like, quit being disrespectful. Ugh. Here's my r/petty revenge moment. I turned the little plate on her stapler around so that all the staples would staple backwards. She went a month stapling everything backwards and wondering why all of her documents were falling apart. Then at the end of it, she's just like, she finally realized, and she's like, who did this? You best fess up. And I'm just like, I'm not fessing up, that's stupid. It's quite petty and nothing compared to these stories, but it's still relatively funny. You break my glasses? Have fun with your remaining ear. For context, I was a tall 5th grader, but I was a friendly giant type. I wasn't violent, though I had anger issues, and they usually came out as the verbal berating of whoever had attracted my wrath. I was the kid that made teachers go to the counselor in tears. But that made me an easy target for bullying. They wanted a reaction without the threat of violence. As for the incident, it was during gym class. We were wrestling and it was my turn. Since I was in a weight class of my own, I won almost every time. Some of my bullies didn't like that, so 2 of them wrenched my arms back out from under me while I was in a match, and the third one did a John Cena slam onto my face, breaking a $200 pair of prescription glasses. Probably shouldn't have taken them off. At least that's what the bullies' parents said when they were refused to pay for them. My mom decided to punish me by taking my own personal savings. I was going to buy a PS3 at the time to pay for new ones. I was furious. This was completely ridiculous. They assaulted me, and I was being punished for it. There goes 3 years of savings down the drain. So I went up to the kid the day after, and I told him to meet behind school to settle this. He and his 2 friends came, and I told them what happened. They realized how much money I lost, and that 5th grade honor rules were clear that a behind-the-school fight was necessary. So I told them that it was 3 versus 1. If I won, they would pay me back. If they won, I'd never berate them for what they pull in the future. So we went at it. I rammed the main kid into the wall and headbutted at him. He punched me and I got swarmed. I was busted up pretty bad, but so were they. It ended when the leader tried to bear hug me to the ground. In my adrenaline-fueled rage, I bit him. More specifically, I bit his ear. Most of it. Everyone froze at his scream of. We ran to the nurse, temporarily calling a truce as you do in this situation, and we got an earful about. The mother wanted to press charges, but the bully admitted to instigating the incident, so it was a case of self-defense. We all got suspended. The bullying never stopped, but when it had gotten too much, I would just begin to walk forward. No matter who it was, they'd run for the hills. My nickname for the next 2 years till I moved was Feral. My dad, a kid in 5th grade, almost to death. This is short and sweet, but amazing. So my dad was like me when he was growing up, short, shy, and overall the main target for getting picked on. One day, like around 1984, he was just going about his business when the average school bully goes to pick on him. My dad, I am guessing, had diagnosed anger issues and had them as a kid as well. So when the bully came to him, he had had enough. And he said, and I quote, with an anger that scares himself to this day, 35 years later, this kid so bad with all of his pent-up anger that ambulances were called and nobody messed with him. He's never told me if he got punishment. My guessing is, yeah, if ambulances had to be called, he probably got a punishment. I mean, that's just my guess. And the bully first, so teachers being mean, wouldn't see it as self-defense. So guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and just give me your feedback on what y'all thought about the story time part of it, where I was given a part of my own personal experience. I have a few stories like that are fun. Most of them are just me being like, hey, can you stop that? So yeah, thanks for watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, just have a great time until the next video, and bye.